What's up, A to Z Sports Live on this Tuesday. Going to have a great show as we know a lot more information about the new Titans Stadium that was agreed upon with the mayor of Nashville, the city of Nashville, and then the Titans. That came out yesterday, and then a couple press conferences yesterday afternoon that Sam Phelan was at. They got the details of what this new stadium is going to look like, the timeline for it, when they should break ground, and then when this new stadium should be complete and what it's going to look, well, not what it's going to look like, but the features it's going to have and what it's going to be about. So we're going to go in here and go through all the details. We'll hear from Titans president Burke Nihill, and then we will hear from Zach on why he thinks this is a genius stadium plan from the Titans and the city of Nashville. So we'll get to that. And then we'll talk a lot about the details of it, what it means for the Titans and a potential Super Bowl hosting site. Are you thumbs up or are you thumbs down on this as a fan of the Tennessee Titans? We'll hear from you guys as well. Then it is Tuesday, which means sports trivia. And Zach, we're trying to stay hot for a third week in a row because 2 weeks ago, 10-0. Last week when Sam was Trivia Master, 9-1. So can we continue that hot streak and get closer and closer to 80%? We're sitting at 78% right now. So Zach, welcome in. We're going to have a good conversation about the new stadium the Titans are going to have here in the next few months, whenever it might break ground.
Yeah, and it's big news coming in from Nashville as the city as a whole. We'll find out. We have a little bit of the timetable. They'll probably reveal what it looks like in due time. But this is big for the city, which is huge, as we know. Austin and I both born and raised in the Nashville area, Brentwood, Franklin. We call it. We're unicorns. We claim it. It's hard to find people like us, and I think there's probably a handful in the chat that haven't transplanted or moved to Nashville that actually grew up here. And we've seen this city develop, and this is just one more step in the growth process of Nashville, Tennessee. So pretty cool. I have a lot of strong opinions about the plan now that I got a chance to look at it, their thought process, why they did some of the things that they did, why they didn't do some of the things that they did. And so we'll dive into that. I think we've got a good show in explaining exactly what went on yesterday in the ins and about of what the stadium basically represents. So big show today. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. That's where we're broadcasting on. We will tweet out segment by segment our YouTube links on our Twitter handle at A to Z Sports. Get it locked there and follow us at A to Z Sports on Twitter. And subscribe if you're on YouTube. A lot more people are watching our YouTube channel, which is awesome. We're on the road to 10,000 over there on YouTube as we've just really started to dive into YouTube over the last, I would say, less than a year of consistency, and people have really taken to it. So subscribe to YouTube, A to Z Sports Nashville. We got you locked there. Facebook. Now, we've been doing Facebook for a long, long time. We're on the road to 100,000. That's what we're trying to get to, 100K over there on Facebook. Bottom left corner of your screen. Sharing out of public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing on this show. Share the show around. More people are going to be piling in minute by minute. We want you guys to share the broadcast and distribute the show for us, and we'll get this party started on a Titan Stadium Tuesday.
Yeah, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Find links to the show on our Twitter timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram and TikTok. We got to thank our sponsors because they truly do make it happen for us, and they help out you guys. Like Wilson County Hyundai. WilsonCountyHyundai.com is where you need to go to make them a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon as well. Bone and Joint Institute, we're giving away some tickets to the Vols Kentucky game via the Bone and Joint Institute, your destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. boneandjointtn.org. Farm Bureau Health Plans, get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That means better service, coverage, and rates. FBHP.com/ATOZ, and Hughes and Coleman Injury Lawyers, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, call them for a free case consultation, 800-800-4600. So there's a lot of details that came out about this Titans new stadium. So Burke Nihill and Mayor John Cooper yesterday talked to the Nashville media. Our Sam Phelan was a part of a briefing with Burke Nihill, the Titans president, yesterday morning before that press conference to get everything ready for what we had to put out on our website at A2ZSports.com yesterday from Sam. So some good work on Sam, and Sam's actually got some follow-up work he's putting into the Titans when it comes to the Super Bowl here. But here are the details. The project for new stadium includes a 1.7 million square foot enclosed stadium that will seat somewhere between 55,000 and 60,000 fans. It is a permanent dome. There is no retractable roof. It will have turf playing surface and a glass exterior following a similar architectural design of SoFi Stadium or Allegiant Stadium. And I do know this, Zach, that the company, the Titans and the city have contracted out to do the design. The same company that built Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. They built Wembley Stadium in London. They built NRG Stadium almost 20 years ago in Houston, and several other really nice buildings. And so they've got some really good examples of what they have here. So Burke Nihill talked a lot about what it will mean for the city of Nashville as well. Again, the goal is for the stadium to be up and operating by the 2026 NFL season, and the Titans are entering a 30-year lease. So the team will continue playing in current Nissan Stadium until the new one is ready, at which point they will demolish the current Nissan Stadium, and that is where the fan experience kicks in, where they're demolishing the stadium. The Titans are agreeing to give back some land to the city to develop with neighborhoods, parks, greenery, living space in different levels of economic value. And here, so that's just some of the information there. But let's hear from Burke Nihill, Titans president, who spoke yesterday about the new stadium plans.
We are not trying to build the most opulent building that has been built. It is not our ambition to be a feature-rich building. We are trying to build the smartest building, one that can be built on budget and one that will make Nashville and Tennessee proud for decades and decades to come.
Opulent. That's a vocab word for you there, Zach, but opulent there from Burke Nihill. So, Zach, what's your reaction to some of the details about the stadium and then what you heard from Burke Nihill, Titans president, right there?
Well, one detail that caught my eye that I think, it has to do with a lot of money. Now, overall, we're talking billions, but I do think this was eye-catching. For any stadium cost overruns, the Titans will be that will be the Titans' responsibility.
Right.
But also the team will pay remaining $30 million in debt for Nissan Stadium and then forgive $35 million owed by the city under the current lease. So they made a partnership deal to amend pretty much $30 million with a takeover of $5 million. And then the overruns, I think that's big. Because if the Titans are responsible for those, the whole reason why they didn't renovate Nissan Stadium was because of cost.
Yeah.
And as inflation goes up and our economy is not in a great spot as we speak, who knows what it will be next year and the following years leading up to 2026 and when they plan to open this. But I would be curious to see how expensive this stadium is actually going to be. So that little detail did catch my eye.
Yeah. And I'll go ahead and show this too on the financial side of things. The new stadium plan, this was put out by the mayor in the city's office. As you see the existing stadium lease, Zach, what you're talking about, all that red space on the football on the left is what Metro Nashville would have to fund if they upgraded and maintained the current stadium versus what the Titans were due to come out of their pocket with the new stadium of just having to upgrade the suites, the offices, and the locker rooms, right? Which is what makes the Titans money, not necessarily the stadium. But now the new lease, you've got the Titans, the NFL, and PSL purchases making up not quite 50% of the $2.2 billion. Then state funding, as we've heard that, remember with Governor Bill Lee mentioned that earlier this year of state funding for $500 million, for an enclosed roof. And then stadium and campus users there and tourists, which I think is an interesting part there too. The 1% hotel motel tax from tourists in Davidson County. So that's the breakdown that the mayor's office put out yesterday afternoon as well.
And so why are we here? I think two things. Let's start with football. This is kind of turned into not a football show because of what the information that we learned yesterday. But here are the facts, guys. The Titans have had 6 straight winning seasons. That consistency yields cash. They've made the playoffs 4 out of the last 5 years. So that also yields cash. The last 2 years, they've hosted playoff games. That yields cash. So this makes a lot of sense on top of what the city of Nashville represents over those last 6 years and its economic boom. All of the people from California and New York bringing an influx of money to the city. This makes perfect sense at the perfect time. And then here is the ultimate outlier, and this is kind of what we just discussed. The lease is up. You know, they had to make a decision. 2028 was the lease, was going to be up. They had to make a decision, and this makes a lot of sense. I personally think what the Titans have done in their plan, in their thought process, their reasoning, all of the features that they have disclosed to us yesterday are absolute genius. I think it makes so much sense to have a smaller, lesser seated stadium. You do not need 80,000. You do not need the Cowboys 100,000. You can't fill it. The Titans can't fill 68 right now. Every single game, if you're a Titans fan, you look up in those stands and there are plenty of red and blue seats that are not being filled.
And
why would you build more seats?
Yeah, right.
Why would you build? It makes zero sense. It's the same philosophy of what we've been trying to tell Vandy for all of these years. Tear down that miserable hunk of concrete and build a 30,000 seat stadium because that's about all that you can fill. The Titans are a small market team, so go with nice and luxury instead of capacity. So I love that mindset. Here's the other thing. Retractable roof, retractable roof, retractable roof. Stupid, stupid, stupid. How many times do you actually see retractable roofs being used? The mechanics of it is justified. When you've got a mechanism that moves back and forth and it's outside and it's got weather, the opportunity for that thing to break down or get broken is probably very, very high. And so they justified not using it. Plus, it saves money. And here's probably what fans don't like to see. Nashville has been a grass town since they built Nissan Stadium. But turf, you don't have to pay the grounds crew as much money to keep up with turf. You got to buy a washing machine to scrub off the paint from what it is to flip it over to the Music City Bowl. But the maintenance on turf makes a lot of sense as well.
And let's also remember what the Nissan Stadium grass is like in late December when the Titans are going for a playoff push and then there's a Music City Bowl game and there's a concert and it's inoperable. I remember standing on Nissan Stadium's field during the Music City Bowl versus Tennessee and Purdue last year and having to be cautious about every step because it was so slick. And the Titans played a game like 2 days after that. And I was like, I don't know how they're going to do this. And that's just the weather that we are in the city of Nashville. So it is interesting there what they're going to do there.
And G-Man says, I take it Zach doesn't like convertibles or sunroof style cars either. G-Man, I know you were listening to this show. My car that I'm going to buy is a 1980s restored Mercedes convertible. I love convertibles. But when your convertible is not efficient and effective and it costs now, instead of $2.2 billion, it's $2.5 or $3 billion, it doesn't make logical sense. I think what the Titans have done, and this is the reason why I thought it was genius, is they looked at all the stadiums that have been built. How much did SoFi, and I do actually think that we have the graphic, and we do, right here. Look at the cost of what it is and when it was built. You talked about Allegiant in Vegas. It's about 1.9. It was built between 2017 and 2020. You've got Mercedes-Benz, which is 1.5. Cost of living has changed. You get the Vikings Stadium, and you've got SoFi. Now, Viking Stadium, there's no way that it would be a retractable roof because they're in Minnesota. The Titans don't need to play outside anymore. They don't need to. That, like, if you actually think about the logic of a retractable roof, like, why do you even have it? Why?
I don't know.
It's a luxury.
Yeah. Well, I just watched a game, Titans at the Colts, a few weeks ago, where the retractable roof was open, and it was miserable to watch on my TV because of all the terrible shadows that were over it.
Right. And you're praying, and I've heard a lot of people in the comment, you're praying and you hope that this is the case, that, modern medicine has improved over the years. Modern turf hopefully should improve over the years because the injury thing is a thing, right? Yeah, but the maintenance, the cost of the maintenance of a grounds crew compared to injury to your players, you're betting on modern turf being better. This makes so much sense of what the Titans have constructed and their thought process of what to do. Look, and they're also not moving it to Antioch or Brentwood or Hendersonville. It's going to be right next door.
Yeah, right next door. So let's ask this question and get you guys more involved, because I've seen a lot of comments. And with the question we have, you will be able to tell us what your concerns are or what you like about it. But are you thumbs up or thumbs down on the Titans' new stadium plan? So thumbs up or thumbs down on the Titans' new stadium plan. We want to know what you guys like, what you dislike, if you like it overall, if you're thumbs down on it. But Zach, tell us all about Farm Bureau Health Plans.
Yeah, FBHP.com is where you need to go to get your brand new health plan. I got my brand new health plan at the beginning of 2022. I'm really glad that I did. 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. So if you live in the state of Tennessee and you're planning on visiting this new stadium, maybe in 2026, 2027, have a good health plan when you walk in the door, right? That is the idea. A quick health assessment takes you 20 to 30 minutes. They ask you a bunch of questions. You answer them openly and honestly. Then they give you a quote. Then you realize, wow, I should have switched my health plan a long, long time ago. Farm Bureau Health Plans can help you. That's FBHP.com/ATOZ.
And while you're at it, download the BetMGM app. And when you do, plug in our code ATOZ Sports, which unlocks a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. So easy steps. Download the app. Use our code ATOZ Sports. You make your first deposit, and bang, that first bet on pro football is risk-free up to $1,000. It's a great time of year to jump on the BetMGM train. So do it with Zach and I here on a Tuesday. Zach, we're asking the question here live on the show, powered by BetMGM. Are you thumbs up or thumbs down on the Titans' new stadium plan? Alton asked real quick, what's the name of the new stadium? That is unknown. It could be Nissan, but they're going to have the naming rights. They're going to go to the highest bidder. That's who.
You would think, though, that Nissan would be smart enough when they signed their deal to look at the lease and say, if a new stadium is built, we want maybe either first right of refusal. Yeah. Or we want to be on the stadium.
So I remember, I believe both of us, I know I was there. I believe both of us were at the press conference of the Nissan Stadium naming rights whenever that was, back 5-6 years ago. I remember that being a conversation. I remember the Nissan contract was longer than the actual lease on the stadium for this purpose. And the lease is 2028. This new stadium is supposed to be built 2026 and ready to roll. So Nissan will have an opportunity to keep it, but highest bidder, right? That's where things go.
Right. So let's go thumbs up or thumbs down to the fans. Ramon says thumbs up. Steven goes thumbs up. Another Steven goes thumbs up. Let's see. Thumbs up from Jake. Thumbs up from Eric. We got thumbs up from Tim. We're streaking, baby. Joshua, thumbs up. Daft, thumbs up. Caleb, thumbs up. Deborah, thumbs up. Mikey says thumbs up. When you're asking the city to help with it, you're getting a dome now. The city isn't writing part of the check for a place that used half of it, half the year. Retractable roof is only for show. Once in a while they open it. No one cares. Mikey. Boom. I give a thumbs up to that. No one cares. No one cares. Like it's just a luxury. That's all it is. And then I think the research that they did to justify it, instead of a luxury, it turns into a problem, right? Or an expense, really, with maintenance.
Yeah, they saved $200 million by not having a retractable roof, and that's just to build the damn thing. Who knows what that price and the cost comes into fix the retractable roof? It's the thing that you have at your house that you're like, this is going to be awesome, but then it just keeps breaking, and now you're like, I don't even like it, I don't even use it. So
it's like a juicer you get for your wedding. You don't use it. You don't juice. You juiced for a small period of time. And then you stopped juicing because you had 2 kids. You don't have time to juice.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about general.
You kind of described Taylor Lewan for a second. You juiced for some time, then you had 2 kids, then you stopped juicing, and it all went downhill. I don't know if that was the.
Oh man, that was good. That was pretty good. I was talking about fruit juice, but you can take it however you want when you talk about that analogy. That was good. Orlando goes thumbs up. Guy says thumbs up. Chad says, he's rad. He's rad tad Chad. Rad tad Chad right there. You like it. Xavier goes thumbs up. I mean, I have not seen Cat goes thumbs up. Grim Jim goes thumbs up. I have not seen a thumbs down. Jonathan is saying thumbs down to turf. So here, quick quiz before trivia. How many NFL stadiums have turf out of the 32?
Oh man, how many?
Don't look at the chat. Do not look at the chat.
I mean, the chat. I'll hide the chat. No chat seen by me. How many have turf? I'm gonna say 17.
14 NFL fields as of 2022, and I Googled this, so that's my reference.
Yeah.
Almost half. So, and here's the big catalyst. You got 4, LA and New York, right? Rams, Chargers, Jets, Giants. There's 4 teams that all have turf because they share stadiums.
So that's just 2 stadiums.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's 2 stadiums, it's 4 teams. So then you have the Titans, probably going to be a turf.
Yes,
a turf city.
Will be a turf. Yeah,
a turf stadium. You've got domes everywhere with Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta, the Superdome, the Caesar Superdome in New Orleans. So almost half the league is going this route. And Austin, I think you said it. Nashville, because of where they're located geographically, once it gets December, I feel like they buy spray paint to spray on the end zones when Music City Bowl rolls around, and the turf is not good. Washington has been highly criticized. Ask RG3 about their turf late in the year in the playoffs as he tore his ACL years ago.
Chicago, I feel like, is pretty bad too.
Yeah, because they have longer grass. And look, Chicago is bidding to get out of Chicago and into Arlington area to get a new stadium. I don't know whether they'll have grass or turf there, but this is just the way of the world. So I didn't see a lot of thumbs down. I've talked enough about how much I love it and how much I like it. I have one concern, and I'll tell you that concern here shortly. But me, I am thumbs up. Austin, what are you?
I'm absolutely thumbs up. I think this makes a lot of sense. I like the size of the stadium. I like a lot of things that are going to be about it. I love the fact that the Titans are going to be able to, in the city of Nashville, is going to be able to host some legitimate events, right? Like we've talked about the events for new stadiums like WrestleMania. WrestleMania already told the city, if you build a new stadium, we are coming. And Butch Spearden said that this summer on the record. So that's a fact. Then you've got Super Bowl potential. You've got college football playoff semifinals and title
12
games.
Teams.
Yes, because you're going to have more opportunities. So you got 12 teams. You're going to have what?
No, we don't know how they're going to organize that.
Yes.
But ideally,
you have the terrific 12 round. Then you're going to have the Elite 8, then the Final 4, and then the championship.
But
game.
March Madness is already probably trademarked that, so they're going to have to come up with something new.
I'm kidding. So, but then speaking of March Madness, you've got that, right? You have the Final 4 opportunity because indoors, you've got that knocked down.
World Cups.
Well, that's where I don't know because of the turf.
Oh, do you have to have grass to be a World Cup?
Grass World
I don't
Cup.
think they've ever played a turf World Cup match.
Right. That's one thing I thought about this, because remember, the push of the stadium this past spring and summer was for the World Cup bid. Butch Spearden, the city of Nashville, did and threw everything they had at the World Cup, but the uncertainty of timing for a new stadium cost them the World Cup. And so that's where I don't know this for a fact, but I wonder if the World Cup was coming, if they would have a grass field for the World Cup. But now that the Titans or Nashville is out of the World Cup, they go with turf. I don't know.
Yeah, because you'd make more than $200 million just
Yeah,
in
the
that.
World Cup pays for the retractable roof too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Orlando says the World Cup games must have grass. That was my thought.
And that makes
overall.
sense. I don't remember any World Cup game ever being, I mean, hell, they're playing in guitar. that makes
Which is just a crock on, what.
That's
so
world politics right there.
Yeah, soccer on turf is
World
no bueno.
corruption. I actually wouldn't call that politics.
Yeah. So again, like all these events that you've got for, everything but the World Cup, concerts year round that don't get canceled. Zach, you would have been to Garth Brooks on August 31st, 2021 and not got rained out.
I would have, but I never saw him.
Yeah, you never did. So I am completely thumbs up on this. I do think the capacity is an interesting conversation that I want to get to here in a second, but did you have one concern?
My one concern is what the old stadium is turning into. So anytime you throw around my term that I was just there on Saturday, the Grove, and compare what you're trying to create to the Grove, my eyes are wide open. I'm like, okay, that sounds like a very cool experience. And I'm just going to be honest. It's going to cost some money to make sure that is nice. It is well groomed, well kempt. And I'm just going to be honest here, that, the homeless aren't sleeping everywhere in this park area in downtown Nashville. That is a true realization of what this particular area is going to be. You've got to make sure that it is clean and it's not overrun by homeless people to, bring the market value down. So I did think about that.
All right, so I'm going to read that because as part of the deal with the mayor, the Titans are surrendering acreage back to the city with plans of continuing that East Bank plan that extends downtown beyond the river to incorporate the river and the development of what you said, public parks, marinas, museums, theaters, and greenways. Nihill said the team plans to partner with the city in using the stadium's green space heavy surroundings for tailgates and pregame activities. Nihill referenced specifically the Grove at Ole Miss as an example, but was clear that he wanted to be the pregame environment unique to Tennessee. So I do find that's
hard to achieve, right?
No, look, like there's a difference. You can't recreate college tailgate atmosphere for the NFL. You just can't do it. You can't. Like there's not the same level of passion and intensity that you will have at places like the Grove. But can you have an awesome, badass tailgate experience for Sunday mornings? Also, you were just at Ole Miss for an 11 o'clock kickoff. That tailgate experience is a little abbreviated. The Titans play at noon, basically, 80% of their home games. So what is that tailgate experience opportunity like? So I do think that's interesting to see what, what they'll
bringing. What it actually is probably going to do, which is smart. And this was, again, another genius. I don't throw around genius a lot, but the plan and idea, it also pulls traffic away from Broadway for all the bachelorette parties to go look at the nice green grass and hang out on the other side of the river, because they're going to continue to build and grow and have things to do, right? They're not going to make it an eyesore like that hunk of metal yard to the right of it. That is what, Nissan Stadium, it was, and there's a good plan by the late Bud Adams to pluck that thing right in the middle of downtown. So when you're walking down Broadway, you see Nissan Stadium. Oh, it's drawing.
Well, yeah, when you drive in from the north of town, like when I was driving back from Kentucky this weekend, you see the skyline, then you get closer and boom, there's the stadium right there. So real quick, I did see this question from Jimmy. He says, so will it still be walking distance from downtown? It's literally going to be next door. Like the Nissan Stadium where it sits, then there's those parking lots, that area. The new stadium will be right there next to it. And then the current stadium will be torn down. And then that will be part of the acreage given back to the city to develop into all these green spaces we're talking about.
So I have one thing that I think every fan or person is concerned about.
Okay. I like it.
And it makes a lot of sense.
Sounds good. I like that tease. Let me tell everybody about Hughes and Coleman, the official injury lawyers of the Tennessee Titans. If you've been injured in a car wreck, give them a call for a free case consultation at 800-800-4600. That's 800-800-4600. Hughes and Coleman injury lawyers have recovered over $1 billion for their clients across the entire state of Tennessee and in Kentucky, and they've been serving you for the last 3 decades plus. So if you've been injured in a car wreck, go to them. They know what to do. They've got the resources. They've got the muscle to go up against and battle the insurance company for you. Hughes and Coleman injury lawyers, 800-800-4600, principal office, Nashville, Tennessee.
A to Z Sports, we are powered by BetMGM. Download the app today. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports, the king of sports books. Get a risk-free bet if you bet on pro football this week. You get games galore up to $1,000 for new users. Use that promo code ATOZ Sports and download the app today in your Android or Apple App Store. All right, Austin, here's the one thing that I think everybody's talking about. When you build a new stadium, ticket prices go up. Cost of admission increases. So I think that we have a lot of diehard Titans fans that watch this program, watch this show every day, and we thank them for that. But those are the hard workers that, whether they're in the 300s or the club level or lower level, it doesn't really matter. They're fans that spend their hard-earned money on games for season tickets or have purchased PSLs before. And look, the Titans have given, a plan. This is kind of I'm not saying sketchy, but $2,000 towards a PSL ain't going to be worth, anything when the actual price is a lot more than that.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know much about PSLs because I was like 9 years old when that started. And so I don't know where that sits now compared to where people bought them, but they're going to try to do something. It's just going to get ugly. The PSL situation, there's no way for it not to get ugly.
Well, it's just going to cost more. So the idea of a PSL is you're buying ownership of the seat. So right. And so whatever that cost, which is made by the stadium or the franchise in this case, that is what the price is set. So if your PSL that you previously bought was $2,000, well, now all of a sudden their PSL is $8,000, you're going to have to come up with $6,000. Now they're going to justify as well, we gave you a $2,000 receipt or coupon, and you're going to have to come up with it or you're not going to sit in the stadium. The other thing, this is the concern of lesser seats. You can't fill 68,000 now, but I do believe that you can fill 55 because a lot of that is going to be corporate. You're going to have a lot of businesses. Look, you've ever been into the Nissan? You've been to the press box. Have you ever been into a box to watch, a concert or a game in Nissan Stadium? The boxes are not that nice. And so now they're going to be really, really nice. Yeah. And all of that influx of money, the cost of living, as I always say, is going up. It's not going down. And so it's really going to affect the blue-collar worker that have been a diehard Titans fan for a long, long time. But that's just the price you pay for a new stadium. But it's going to push some diehard Titans fans out financially to see their favorite football team week in and week out.
Yeah, G-Man on base says, I have 6 seats now, $12,000 in PSLs alone, not including ticket prices every year. So somebody asked, what are PSLs? Zach explained that, but it doesn't mean that you have your PSL, but you have to buy the season tickets every year on top of what that PSL.
That's just ownership of the seat.
Yeah.
It doesn't include actually entry to the game.
It's basically you get to pay this money for the opportunity to buy these tickets. Is what the PSL really is. So again,
but that's been a standard for a long, long time.
Yeah, and it's like college season tickets. Like, you donate to the university for the opportunity to then buy season tickets. And depending on your level of donation is the level of season tickets that you have the opportunity to get.
And then a lot of colleges have, depending on your level of activity, right? So if you go to a lot of games, they've got like a point system. If you're going to women's volleyball, you get a higher point because they want those.
They need people to go.
It's good incentive. Like I think that's really, really smart because it really pays off the people that are diehard fans.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get that situation in professional football. Professional football is to the highest bidder, my friend, right? And some people are going to be priced out of going to Titans games. It's just, it's kind of the facts.
Yeah, G-Man continues. It's basically a right to buy tickets, but if you opt out of buying the tickets in a year, you give up your PSL for that seat. So they're kind of forcing you and guilting you into that. But that's kind of a reason why there's so many opposing fans in Nissan Stadium. Well, because PSL holders that are paying double or like, well, if I can make some money back on the Pittsburgh Steelers coming to town, I'm going to do it. That bingo, right? There's the whole situation.
Well, and you brought that up, Austin. That was a big level of concern, I guarantee, through the discussions of why is Nissan Stadium truly not a great home field advantage? Like Neyland Stadium, you saw that on Saturday. That is truly a great home field experience. Arrowhead is truly a great home field experience. The Titans and Nashville as a whole is a tourist town. We got people coming in and out all of the time. We dominate Vegas. We dominate California, New York, Miami when it comes to tourists coming in for a weekend and leaving, spending money, seeing the town and then exiting. And that is at a heightened level when it comes to NFL football weekends.
Mm-hmm.
It's an excuse to come to Nashville. And so here's my question. I don't see that changing. Do you?
With the opposing fans? No. So last night we were sitting down to turn on Netflix or whatever, and our TV was on CBS because of the last game we were watching on actual TV. And I caught some of the news reporting on News Channel 5 about this. And there was a reporter that was asking Burke Nihill and Mayor John Cooper about, well, what if the tourism drops off in Nashville after the stadium is built and no longer does the tourist extra tax dollar go into the stadium funding? It's like, well, you're building the new stadium to ensure that the tourism does not drop off.
Who asked that?
Whoever the News Channel 5 reporter was asked that to them. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Like, it's not going to drop off because now you're creating more events. It's going to increase. I'm like, that's the point. I was like, what are we doing here? And look, I guess if you want to ask the question and get it on the record, sure, that's fine. But it was like presented as in like, well, what if doom and gloom happens? Oh, I was like, well, no, you're building this to take this stadium from being a 20 event a year stadium to a 45 event a year stadium or more, right?
Tourism is not going to drop off.
Yeah, no.
Like I really question that person who asked that question.
Yeah, again,
that was a dumb question.
Some press conference questions are asked to get something on the record that might sound obvious, and that could have been asked for that reason, but the way it was packaged in the presentation.
Well, you also have to think about, and this is the realization, is so many new people outside of Nashville have moved to Nashville that have allegiance to other teams. So when those other teams come play, there's tourism that actually lives here, right? So they're going to go buy and purchase tickets to whether they're a 49ers fan or whether they're a Chargers fan or Jets fan or whoever. And so I think this all, and I don't usually say this, I think this is why after I read everything that I read yesterday of what the thought process was, I was truly, Austin, very impressed. I thought they justified a lot of questions that maybe I would have with good reasoning. You can't just pluck the stadium out and build it right on top of it. So you build it next door, you sell it back to the state to justify, or the city to justify what the tourism and what the aesthetic of Nashville downtown looks like. You have a dome instead of a retractable roof. They justified all of that. they needed a new stadium at their core, right? Nissan Stadium. And here's the other thing. Also, months ago, we were talking about them renovating, and then they came back and they had a logical explanation on why they weren't renovating Nissan Stadium.
And
here's too much.
Yeah, here's the number, right? The current Nissan Stadium lease would require Metro to pay at least $1.75 billion over the next 15 years. I'll say that one more time. The current Nissan Stadium lease would require Metro, not the state, Metro, to pay a minimum of $1.75 billion through 2039. So now none of that's alleviated from Metro taxpayers for this particular reason. And so the renovations would have crushed the city and its taxpayers.
Yeah, well, I think that they would have restructured that lease. But it doesn't.
Yeah, but again,
they would have kicked the can down the road.
Yes,
so
but still,
it's like refinancing.
It's cap over cash, right? We're talking the LA Rams. Just keep on kicking that can, baby, as long as you can go.
And that's big business, right?
Right.
I was looking at PSLs, and because look, I read the comment. James asked a question. Look up Allegiant Stadium's PSL cost per seat from 2019 to 2020 and double or triple that. So I did do that. And what I have found, and this is actually Raiders.com. So this should make
pretty reliable source.
some sense. Well, it's Raiders PSL marketplace. So what this is saying is level 100 PSL, you are right in so the best seats, best PSL are $2,500, that's just PSLs. That's not ticket cost. You got to remember that.
Yeah.
So you can find PSLs like in the 400 level, they're $650 to $1,400 in the 400 level. So I kind of am with James. You're going to have to, I don't know if it's double, triple, or quadruple that price. It's definitely different from when they initiated their PSLs than what it's going to be, because inflation over the last 24 months has gone crazy, right? And the cost of a house, which was $400,000 in Nashville, is now $850,000. Yeah. So that tells you something.
And Juan says the nosebleeds, because you named the 400 level, which Nissan Stadium doesn't even have. And that's the thing. What again? Go read Sam's report, A2ZSports.com. The 55,000 seat, 60,000 seat stadium is going to be more intimate. Is what Burke Nihill said yesterday, and you can read it again, A2ZSports.com. Is the upper deck in the new stadium is going to be somewhat like the club level type intimacy of the current stadium. So it's going to be very intriguing of how, as Jake said, there won't be any nosebleeds in a 55K, 60K stadium of how it's going to be structured. I'm guessing the end zones, because it's a dome, are going to be enclosed. So if you have 69,000 seats when they'll have right now, and you have, let's just say 15,000 up top in that third, 20,000 up top in the third row. Well, if you move those seats down to enclose the club level, now you've got a 2-level stadium in a circular fashion and a lot better seats.
This is the new way of watching football and watching sports, Austin. And the new way of watching sports is at home on your couch in front of your HD television. Less people are going to sporting events. That, I think, is their problem. The Washington Commanders are talking about a new stadium. They are talking about downgrading their seat capacity for their possible new stadium. So everybody is starting to trend to do this, unless you're the Dallas Cowboys or the Houston Texans, where your metropolitan area is so massive that you're picking from 4 to 5 million people. Then you can fill a 100,000 seat stadium. Mm-hmm. But that's not what Nashville is. And that's not the fan base that we have here in this city. And so look, here's the other thing. You're going to have an area for a sports book, right? It is about the experience of going to the game, not about the actual game. That's just, I mean, the Raiders, they've got, it's table service. They got bottle service. You can buy a table with bottle service right on the field. Those Vegas, I don't know, I want to be kind here, IG models don't care about Derek Carr and Devontae Adams. They care about the bottle service and the experience. That's just what it has become. The same thing for all of the, of what LA and SoFi Stadium represents. This is genius what the Titans are doing. And I love this idea. I can't wait to see the first renderings because we have not seen what it's going to look like. I think it's going to look, I hope it looks really, really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And then just timing on it should be open for the 2026 season. That's that understanding, and that it should be finalized and approved by the end of the year. And then hopefully to break ground coming up next fall. Joseph asked a good question, Zach. You guys may have touched on this, but with 55 to 60,000 seats, have they gotten a promise of a Super Bowl? I thought you needed 70,000 minimum. Joseph did his homework. So did our Sam Phelan. So Sam Phelan currently writing an article on A2ZSports.com that's about that exact topic. Because Sam asked that exact question yesterday to Titans president Burke Nihill. So A2ZSports.com, Sam will have that article out a little bit later on this morning for that exact question and topic there overall. So, so, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do here.
Yeah, and because what Nashville needed to do for a Super Bowl was increase its hotel capacity.
Well,
and
that's been checked off over the last several years.
Yeah, they've done that over the last several years.
Yeah.
I mean, they just have. Now, I stay in hotels, but not that often. I don't know how many people are staying in hotels with the Airbnb landscape, but they've added them.
They got the Airbnbs too, so they're in an okay spot.
Yeah.
And then, then it was the suites. It's like, how is your stadium good enough at the suite level? And Nissan Stadium is not right now at all. All right, A2Z Sports here live on this Tuesday. There is news that Delaney Walker is retiring officially today as a Tennessee Titan. I got wind of that yesterday afternoon, but that's officially out. Buck Rising has a write-up on that, A2ZSports.com over there as well. So congrats to Delaney Walker, one of the best guys to talk to. I'm sure we'll talk about him when he is officially retiring a Titan later today. We'll hear some of Delaney Walker and talk more about that react tomorrow and throughout the week. But Zach, it is time for Tuesday Sports Trivia. We've been riding hot, and we need all of y'all here in the chat today to keep us riding hot. We're at 78% halfway through our trivia season here at 39 out of 50. So let's keep this thing rolling. Zach, it is time for Tuesday Sports Trivia, but tell us about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai has your perfect make and model for your vehicle, whether it's the Palisade, third row seating, full-size SUV with all the bells and whistles. They've got the Sonata, which is a four-door sedan with all the bells and whistles. These cars are fuel efficient. You need this as gas is going up. Invest in a new vehicle, trade in your old vehicle. And Hyundai has been reliable. It's been super reliable. I love Hyundai. I love Wilson County Hyundai. A quick trip down I-40, exit 236. They even have the Ioniq, which is battery powered. Your perfect make and model is right around the corner. Family owned and operated. That's WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Download the BetMGM app, plug in our code ATOZ Sports, and make your first deposit. And your first bet on pro football is risk-free up to $1,000. It's a great way to join the BetMGM family with Zach and I. Again, ATOZ Sports is that code when you download for a risk-free bet on pro football up to $1,000. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only new customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualifications and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued with non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire in 7 days. For problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Let's get to it. Tuesday Sports Trivia. All right, one rule, no Googling. That's it. We've got 10 questions coming up. We are 39 out of 50 after going 10-0 and 9-1 over the last 2 weeks, respectively. Zach, let's get this thing rolling.
Let's start in the state of Michigan. Which of these NFL players did not attend the University of Michigan? Jim Harbaugh, Anthony Carter, Steve McMichael, John Runyon. I'll say it again. Which of these NFL players did not attend the University of Michigan? Jim Harbaugh, which we can eliminate, Anthony Carter, Steve McMichael, John Runyon.
John Runyon we can also eliminate because his.
Yeah. So we're down. Yes, we're down to Anthony Carter and Steve McMichael. Anthony Carter and Steve McMichael.
I don't know who any of those are. Scott says, I think McMichael. Brent says McMichael. Noah says McMichael. Billy, Joseph say McMichael. Justin there too. So
do you want to lock that in?
Yeah, well, let's go McMichael, final A to Z.
Steve McMichael went to the University of Texas and played for the Longhorns 1975 to 1979. AC, John Runyon, and Jim Harbaugh all had stellar careers with the Wolverines in the 70s and 80s.
All right, 1-0.
Back to Michigan. Who quarterbacked the 1991 Detroit Lions team to get to the NFC Championship game? Who quarterbacked the 1991 Detroit Lions team to get to the NFC Championship game? This is Barry Sanders, right?
Preston says Scott Mitchell. I think it is Scott Mitchell. So did Scott Weaver, said Scott Mitchell. So weird why I think it is because Scott, back when the Titans a couple years ago were flirting with the 4,000-yard passer, the 2,000-yard rusher, and the two 1,000-yard receivers, I was doing a lot of stat looking up about 2,000 yards rushers, and Scott Mitchell had the most passing yards of a quarterback who played with a 2,000-yard rusher. But I don't know if that was the 91 season.
That's the key.
Promotional use says it's not Scott Mitchell.
I do not know a lot about the early 90s Lions.
We're getting some Rodney Peets.
Rodney Peete did play for the Lions.
I think we have to go Rodney Peete. If it's not Scott Mitchell, then we need to go Rodney Peete.
You want to lock that in? You sure it's not Scott Mitchell?
No.
Or you still think
what year did Barry Sanders go for 2,000 yards? I want to say it was not 91. It was after that. I say we go Rodney Peete. Rodney Peete, final A to Z.
In 1991, Eric Kramer led the Detroit Lions over the Dallas Cowboys in the second round to only be crushed by the Washington Redskins 41-10. The Lions did not get to an NFC Championship game again during the 90s.
Have they gotten to one since the 90s? Never, ever again. All right, so 1-1. No, I don't think anybody guessed Eric Kramer. So,
yeah, let's see.
Eric Alonzo said Eric Kramer after the fact, but
in promotional use says you guys don't know much about the early 90s football in general. What did you say, promotional use? Did you guess? You can't criticize.
Promotional use just said it's not Scott Mitchell.
He just says he doesn't know. So promotional use. You cannot just spout out problems, right? You can't just say world hunger.
No, promotional use. You're on our team here. Like, be a good teammate. Don't just be a jerk. Like, you're on our team. We're all the same team for trivia.
Oh, yeah, no, this guy's just a
He's
hater.
promotional useless.
Yeah, promotional useless. That is your new name, pal. Sorry. So anytime that we see you in the chat, you're promotional useless.
I've never seen him before. But
yeah, because he's useless.
Yeah. You're on our team, bro. Come on. All right. So 1-1. Next question.
Let's see if promotional useless is still useless with this question. Which of the following players once hit 5 home runs in a doubleheader? Nate Colbert, Dave Parker, Harmon Killebrew, or Boog Powell?
Harmon Killebrew was a bad dude, and that he played back when they played a lot of doubleheaders. Look at promotional use, guessing Brian Jordan, who wasn't even an option.
Loser. Useless.
All right, say the options again.
The options are for which player of the following players once hit 5 home runs in a doubleheader? Nate Colbert, Dave Parker, Harmon Killebrew, or Boog Powell?
We've got a lot of Dave Parkers. I think we go Dave Parker. Final A to Z.
Oh, wow. That was quick.
I don't know. I mean,
Nate Colbert managed to complete this August 1st, 1972, when he played for the San Diego Padres. Up until this point in Major League Baseball history, the only person to achieve this feat, hitting 5 home runs in a doubleheader, was Stan Musial, who did it in 1954. There you go. Nate Colbert. We were wrong.
Eric Alonso, I have my eye on you for a potential Google trend. All right. 1 and 2.
Uh-oh.
1 and 2. Yeah, Eric Alonso has commented the correct answer right like simultaneously as Zach has read it, which makes me feel like he might be Googling. So
Eric, I will say we will ban you, and you don't want to get suspended because now you're on our radar.
Yeah,
you don't get much grace.
Yeah.
So that's
again,
just a little word of the wise.
It's been 2 times in a row, very conveniently, simultaneously correct when Zach reads the correct
We
answer.
have no rules, but one rule.
I also know this. I know that you guys' comments are slightly delayed from when we are reading them. So, all right.
So if we catch you Googling, you're going to get suspended.
All right. So we're 1 and 2. We do need help though. So let's keep on rolling.
All right. Back to the NFL. Who did quarterback Doug Williams start over and become Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 22? Gary Danielson, Joe Theismann, Jay Schroeder, or Mark Rippon?
I think it's Rippon. That sounds familiar.
It's either Rippon or Theismann.
David says Jay Schroeder. Orlando says if you Google, he's going to show up at your house.
There you go.
I think it's Mark Rippon. Like that, Mark Rippon really stands out to me. It's not Gary Danielson. I don't think it's ooh. Scott says Jay Schroeder, lock it in.
That's confidence. We've had a lot of question marks, like I think it's Rippon, could be Theismann, but we haven't had I believe Scott.
Yeah, Scott's one of our trivia all-stars. So let's go with Schroeder, final A to Z.
Jay Schroeder got hurt early in the season and Doug Williams took over. Schroeder was okay to play by the Super Bowl, but head coach Joe Gibbs stuck with Williams.
All right. 2 and 2, back even.
2 and 2, back even. Here is a unique question. How long has the game of pickleball been played?
Ooh.
Played by ancient Greeks, invented in 1965, played by the ancient Chinese, or invented in 1865? How long has the game of pickleball been played?
Oh, man.
This is a good
pickleball is on the rise, man. Like
this is a good party trick. This is party knowledge right here.
So ancient Greeks.
Yeah, Orlando, I think I'm right. I think he's right. 3 months. I feel like, this jumped on the scene.
Now intern Liz is Greek. He says played by the Greeks. So what was it? Greece, ancient Greeks, 1865, the ancient Chinese, or 1965?
Correct.
Man, I was just talking to my brother about pickleball like 2 weeks ago.
Did you guys discuss when it was invented?
No,
I feel like
but it's massively growing.
So this is why I don't think it is. I don't think it is old. I think it is new. I don't know what it is. So I do think that it is new though. And so it's not ancient Greece, it's not ancient Chinese, 1865 or 1965. And 1965 is a lot more recent than 1865. I think that this is new.
Like how we learned Kwanzaa is a lot newer.
Correct. That was what, 1973?
It was really new. I didn't realize that.
I think it was recent.
1965?
Yeah.
All right. We'll go with that. Final A to Z.
I'll take this one if we're wrong.
Okay.
Joel Pritchard, Bill Bell, and Barney McCollum invented pickleball on Bainbridge Island in Washington to entertain their children. The game is now played by people 6 to 64 or older. By 2019, the USA alone had over 2 million players and many more play worldwide. Pickleball was invented in 1965.
Nice.
Bang. I knew it couldn't have been that old because we would have heard about it a lot more, I feel like.
Yeah. It's growing, man. Pickleball is on the rise. All right. So we are now 3-2. We're above 500, which is big. But first, let me tell you guys, if you do get hurt playing pickleball, which is possible, go check out our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. And also, if you want a chance to win tickets to Tennessee, Kentucky coming up in 2 weekends, you can do that as well, as we are teaming up with Bone and Joint again this week to give away a pair of tickets to that sold-out game in Knoxville. So go check our social media for those instructions on how you can have a chance to win those pair of tickets from the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. Zach, we're 3-2, 5 questions left. Let's keep it rolling.
Which of these players, when he scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, was the oldest player to score a touchdown in a Super Bowl? John Elway, Boyd Dowler, Willie Brown, or Bob McKay? Excuse me, Bob McKee, not Bob McKay. So John Elway, Boyd Dowler, Willie Brown, or Bob McKee?
So John Elway is obviously the most recent. And right?
Yes. My gut was John Elway because he was like, he wasn't 40. He was late 30s.
He was like 37. And that was the helicopter, right? We're getting a lot of Willie Brown.
Because it would have been Tom Brady, right? Well, I guess you had to score rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, not a passing touchdowns don't count.
I think it's John Elway. Now, here's my ignorance. I don't know who the other 3 guys are.
Same. Yeah, it has to be a rushing or receiving touchdown. Just like people were, Derrick Henry's about to become the leading touchdown scorer for the Titans Oilers, and people were forgetting that Warren Moon and Steve McNair passing touchdowns don't count. We're getting a lot of Willie Brown pick sixes.
I just remember when Elway did that. So here's my fault. Here's my mindset. I would have known Elway was the most recent out of those guys, correct? I mean,
I think so.
I remember that being a thing.
G-Man, Scott are saying Willie Brown.
I don't do this, but I'm overriding. I will take the fall. I'm feeling hot. Okay. I feel like John Elway is the correct answer.
All right, John Elway, final A to Z.
All right, hopefully.
Wait.
You've already said it. I haven't looked at the answer, but you've already said it. What?
Never mind.
You've locked it in?
Yeah.
Good. 38 years old, John Elway. This one's for John. John Elway. Bang, baby.
Okay. 4-2.
Yes. That was a gut. And sorry, I clapped to the mic. That was probably pretty loud.
Yeah, you clapped on the opposite side of the mic, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Yeah. So what are we right now?
4-2.
We are 4-2.
Where the Titans need to be after this weekend.
We're going back to pickleball.
Okay.
Have you ever played?
No.
I haven't either. What is a winning score in pickleball? 25, 11, 100, or 75? And I will be honest, I have no effing clue. Not a clue. I don't know what any point counts. So what is a winning score in pickleball? 25, 11, 100, or 75?
I was going to think 25 or 11 because it's somewhat comparable to tennis in a way. And I think 25 would tell me that it's comparable to tennis scoring. G-Man says 25 sounds right. Somebody else said, Stephen King says 25, lock it in. Sounds like a pickleball player right there. We're getting a lot of, wait, did you say 75 or 175?
100 or 75 or 25 or 11.
I think it's 25.
I knew the last two. I have no idea. I have no clue.
Because ping pong is 11, right?
Ping pong is 21.
It could also be 11. Noah says 11 and you must win by 2. I played all summer.
I think we go with Noah. We trust the man that has played all summer.
Okay. 11, final A to Z.
Pickleball, pickleball, pickleball. Most players play to 11 points, but must be 2 points ahead to win. Some tournaments play to 21 or 25. Players only score when serving. So we could have gotten, that was actually a pretty good deal. We could have gotten both. So we were correct.
Yeah. All right. 5-2.
We now head to a little abracadabra. Magic trivia for our final three. First question. What magician was known as, quote, the man who fooled Houdini? Ricky Jay, Cardini, Di Vernon, or Ed Marlowe? Who is the magician also known as the man who fooled Houdini?
I feel like Cardini fooling Houdini is a little too convenient for me.
I did listen to a podcast of
What are you looking up?
David Copperfield. I typed in David Copperfield to make sure that his first name is David. But and he was influenced by Houdini. But I do not know what this answer is.
Read him again.
What magician was known as the man who fooled Houdini? Ricky Jay, Cardini, Di Vernon, or Ed Marlowe?
I'm going to give Eric Alonzo an opportunity to go Di Vernon because he was a quicker answer than he has.
That was a different Eric that you thought was cheating?
No, that's the same Eric, but this was a quicker answer. I'm going to give Eric an opportunity. It was again a quicker answer than the last couple times when I was suspicious. So he said Di Vernon.
You gonna lock that in?
We're gonna lock in Di Vernon to see what Eric does.
So what do we want? You want him to be wrong? So
I don't know.
I don't know. He's suspect. If you're going with the guy that you think cheats.
Yeah, but it was, again, the reason why I was suspicious is because 2 times in a row, when we got it wrong, he commented the correct answer as you simultaneously said it. So it was late. This was an earlier quick answer. So I'm just going to give him an opportunity.
What was his answer?
Di Vernon.
Harry Houdini often boasted that he could not be fooled if he saw a card trick performed at least 3 times. Fellow magician Di Vernon performed a version of the ambitious card trick for Houdini 3 times. However, Houdini was stumped. For years afterwards, Vernon billed himself as the man who fooled Houdini.
So do I think Eric Alonso is cheating? I'm still suspicious.
So let's not go with his answers.
All right.
What magician is most famous for making the Statue of Liberty disappear, levitating over the Grand Canyon, and walking through the Great Wall of China? David Blaine, Harry Houdini, Lance Burton, or David Copperfield?
Well, was that the David Copperfield podcast you listened to?
That was the David Copperfield podcast that I listened to.
So you know it
is David Copperfield.
All right.
He's pretty weird. I mean, he's weird, but it's pretty fascinating. I am going to lock in. It's 3. I'm 3 out of 3. I am locking in David Copperfield.
Okay, this puts us at 7-2.
David Copperfield, the most famous for making the Statue of Liberty disappear, levitating over the Grand Canyon, or walking over the Great Wall of China, the youngest person ever admitted to the Society of American Magicians, teaching magic at New York University by the age of 16. He started very, very young. So we have one more. One more. Here is our next question. What magician debuted on The Tonight Show before taking his famous dove act to the prestigious Follies Bergère in Las Vegas?
Dove?
Famous dove act. So I guess dove.
Yeah, dove the bird, not dove into a water.
Yeah. That's why I did make sense. So dove act. Is it Lee Gramble, Lance Burton, David Copperfield, or David Blaine?
So
this is Blaine, right?
G-Man said real quick, Lance Burton.
Ooh. David Blaine, David Copperfield, Lance Burton, or Lee Gramble. Famous for taking his dove, I stand corrected, act to Las Vegas. Debuted on The Tonight Show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So who said that?
G-Man said Lance Burton really quickly, like before you even, and he said seen Lance many times in Vegas.
I think we go with G-Man.
Yeah. All right, final A to Z, G-Man going with Lance Burton.
Performed for Johnny Carson before taking his dove act to Las Vegas, where his contract broke records by being extended for 9 years. Lance Burton on The Tonight Show went 9 more times before Carson's retirement, also performed several times for Jay Leno. In 1996, he moved his act to the $27 million Lance Burton Theater at the Monte Carlo Resort and Casino. Lance Burton. That was good. I felt like we got good. I mean, look, I'll take credit for 3 of them, but we got good acts by our chat.
We did. And we went 8-2. So we only improved by 0.3%. So we went from 78% to 78.3%.
And let me be quick. Nate, you got to give me dove and dove are spelled the same. So it's not like I admit my wrongs, but they are spelled the same. And I think I was more concerned about how to pronounce Follies Bergère. And so I kind of freaked out. I kind of freaked out. There was a word ahead in the sentence that I didn't know how to pronounce. And I dove mess.
Well, and you probably thought it was like some fancy type of thing to go along with the big word that confused you. I get you there. Look, reading on air is a lot harder than you think it is for everybody who doesn't read on air. It is. Yeah, Lucas said it was a trap word.
It was a trap. It's a trap. I mean, it was. That was a trap word. That's a prototypical trap word in a sentence.
Yep. That Lucas, thank you. That was fantastic. Trap word.
Dove.
Oh my God.
Dove. is dove act. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Trap word. That makes
Well,
sense.
one thing is we got that dub just
Yeah.
then. 8 out of 10 is good.
Absolutely. Stephen King says, like the show before you go. Absolutely do that. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, like the show before you go. If you're on YouTube, the chat on your phone is probably hiding the like button. So if you just hit down on the chat, then you can hit like, then you hit the chat again and it pops back up there. But also right after we end the show, you can give the show a like as well. So like the show before you go. Also subscribe to our YouTube page for more Titans coverage. Titans bye week is over. So practice back on the field again starting Wednesday, and we'll have more content coming from Titans practice and press conferences throughout the week, especially with Delaney Walker announcing his retirement as a Titan later on today. More coverage on our YouTube channel later on this afternoon. Buck Rising live tonight, A to Z Sports Primetime. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Appreciate it as always.
Adios.